Clash at the Castle review, giving you my match of the night, my grades, and just my overall thoughts on how everything went down over in Scotland. Before we get to the 5 matches, I do always like to mention the crowd. Thought they were popping. Very exciting, but yet not as annoying as France was with some of the songs and everything. I thought the crowd did a really great job. Everything went fine there. The only thing that I noticed that was missing was fireworks. We got absolutely 0 fireworks. I don't know if that was having to do with the setup or if it's having to do with rules and regulations in that country or that specific arena. I have no idea, but that was notably absent was the fireworks. Were the fireworks in, especially, Cody Rhodes' entrance is whenever we notice it the most. And no fireworks there, but the crowd with as popping as they were, it wasn't as big of a deal and didn't take away as much as it could have just because the crowd was so popping and with them singing along and everything. I thought it was pretty great. In this first match, I figured that Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles would not be the main event. I thought it might have been the co-main event, but with them leading it off, I thought made a lot of sense. Made a lot of sense with them leading it off because you knew there was no way in hell that Cody Rhodes was saying the words, "I quit," even with it being extremely predictable. Because I wasn't really expecting them to lead off the show with it. I was like, oh, wow, okay, here we go, let's do it. And I thought it was pretty decent. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. And it was pretty darn solid. I'm going to give that first match a B+. Overall, I liked most of the finishes on the night, especially that main event. I'm going to get to that coming right up. But with the AJ being a chicken shit heel, didn't want to get hit with the steps. It seemed a little bit quick with the saying I quit, and then ring the bell, and I was like, oh crap, okay, it's over. But I like the way it was set up. And then how about the Bloodline attacking Cody Rhodes, and then Randy Orton, Kevin Owens making the save. So now we're getting the Bloodline back involved with the business of Cody Rhodes. Is this where it all kind of starts up again and leads to what we're all speculating with what might happen with Cody and The Rock or however that's going to go down. Well, we see the Bloodline back involved now with Cody Rhodes, so it'd be interesting to see where that goes. The Bloodline, since Roman's been gone, has not been really all that great. So now if they're getting back involved with Cody Rhodes, does that potentially make it a little bit better? We shall see. I'm interested to see where they go with this, just because, it's been okay with the Bloodline, but it just, Just think the way Solo's been booked and Tama and Tanya Loa, just, it's not horrible by any stretch of the imaginations, but it's not great. So them attacking Cody Rhodes does build me some intrigue. That is for show. Going to move on. Next up, we did have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship was on the line. Did I give you my grade for that first match? I'm going to go B+. I'm going to go B+ for that first match. And I like I said, I like the handcuffs and the way that all went down. And that brain buster, man, on the announce table. Woof. That was pretty sick. That was sickening. It's almost like, oh gosh, blessed. Is that how that was supposed to go down? Cody, man, there's several spots tonight where it's like, oh God, hope it didn't break their freaking necks. Next up, we did have the Tag Team Championship for the ladies, and did not see this coming by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe I should have, with Dawn and Fire getting beaten that tag team match by Baszler and Stark. they swerved us for sure. Because after that, I was like, "Well, God bless. There's no chance. They ain't gonna win. They're not can't beat Baszler and Stark. They're not winning this. But that's what they do a lot of the times, and they got me. So kudos to WWE. But doesn't it feel like? I mean, as soon as I saw him winning, I was like, okay, well, now definitely Drew McIntyre is absolutely not winning. He went from having a 0.001 chance of winning to definitely not winning. Same thing with Piper Niven. This was the way to make the Scottish fans, the UK fans happy over there, was by having Dawn and Fire win these tag team titles. Is that the only reason that they gave them that titles? Because they knew those other two matches, the crowd was not going to be happy, and they had to make them happy in one of the three matches. Feels that way. It does kind of feel that way, but yeah, but man, Cargill and Belair seemed like they were destined to keep these titles at least until SummerSlam. Now, I'm sure they may win them right back, or they may just both go off and do singles things now. But I like the way that they were having them be the dominant women's tag team. So this just felt kind of like, really? They're giving it to these two ladies? And I like them. I like Dawn and Fire, I really do. But it was just kind of shocking, and it feels like the only reason they did it, like I said, is because they were over there in Glasgow. Obviously, you protect Jade and Bianca by having Shayna Baszler take the pin there, which I don't think, should have been Zoe Stark. No offense to Zoe. She's the pin eater. She should have ate that pin, not Shayna. Always making Shayna look weak, it seems like. And maybe I should have seen this one coming, with it being a triple threat, that they were going to lose the titles because they could protect them by not having to meet the pinfall. I really thought that Jade and Bianca were going to keep these belts for quite a long time, eventually leading to them splitting as champions. Maybe having them, whenever they lost, having it be one of the girls' fault, and then go old school booking with one blaming the other, and then them one turning on the other and breaking up. But that's not the route that we went, at least not as of now. Like I said, that Jade and Bianca could very easily get the titles back and then go on another run with them. Or maybe or maybe you could argue, and I make the argument now, that, those are two gigantic women's single stars, and what are we doing putting them in a tag team in the first place? Was it just to kind of protect Jade a little bit, being so green as far as on WWE television can go, and still felt like, she needed to do some things, not maybe quite ready to be at the top of the card as a single star, so let's put her in there with Bianca in a tag team, have the superhero tag team, and have them run roughshod. And then it's like, okay, well, now Jade's proven herself now, so they don't really need to keep these belts any longer. Perfect opportunity, make the Scottish fans happy, yada yada, let's get these belts off of them. So I'm interested to see now what happens with Jade and Bianca. I don't know. If they were the champs, like I said, and then one cost together, it would make more sense to me that's how you break them up, or they just keep being friends. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is why we watch. But very interesting developments in both of these first two matches. I'm going to give the Women's Tag Team Championship match a B-. And I was enjoying myself in those first two matches. No C grades yet. Next up, we have the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn retaining over Chad Gable. So we had a little shock. No shock in the first match. Shock in the second match. And no surprise to me here that Sami Zayn retained. I thought that this would be the spot where they paid off Otis turning into a baby face, and they did not. And I'm okay with it. It seems some way, somehow, They've been figuring out ways to keep this story moving forward, keeping it relevant, and it's not stale yet, is it? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, follow, and subscribe. But to me, it was perfect. It was perfect. Now, Otis, I would have liked to have seen Otis show a little care for Maxine a little bit sooner. Like, I don't feel like she should have been having to yell over at him for Otis to come help her, but I do understand Otis was also angry in that moment that Gable accidentally hit Maxine in the leg. So, he's like, okay, but I would like to see him kind of start, turn back and forth like, oh, do I help Maxine or am I about to attack Chad Gable here? What's going on? And so it could have been done a little bit better, but I do like the way that it was booked with Otis carrying Maxine out, causing the distraction. Chad Gable gets the Helluva Kick, and 1, 2, 3, Sami Zayn retains, so the story continues. Now, do they go ahead and pay it off right on Raw? It's like Gable comes out, like, what are you doing? Why did you help Maxine? She didn't need help, yada, yada. You should have been helping me. I told you, I had the ref distracted. I was just trying to have you inflict more damage on Sami Zayn, and you didn't do it. And Chad Gable, like, this is to me, he's not going to get any other chances, right? So this is to me, Chad Gable's got to snap. He's got to really snap on Otis and Maxine. And where was Tozawa at? No, I don't believe they mentioned where he was at all. If they did, I missed it, but maybe they were just like, well, if we have him out there, he doesn't really fit in with how we want to book this. But to me, he's been part of the story, so he should have been out there. And they should have figured out a way to make that work. But overall, I was pretty happy with this. And yeah, like I said, Chad Gable on next show on TV, Raw, I believe they're on, right? So he's got to snap. He's got to snap, and Otis has then got to snap back on Chad Gable. And I do think, like I said, I thought it was time to pay it off here, but I see why they did what they did, prolonging it just a little bit. But I think you can pay that off at the next show, set up that rivalry between Chad Gable and Otis. And then I'll ask you this question. Is that a pay-per-view worthy match? Chad Gable and Otis. I would argue no, just for the simple fact we've only seen 5 matches on this pay-per-view. If we're AEW booking it here, we got 8, 9, 10 matches on a card, then I would say yes. But we don't get very many matches. But I do think the storyline's been there where they could definitely set it up where that's on a pay-per-view, especially if it had some kind of special stipulation or whatever. A lot of bad blood, I think, will come out of this between those two for sure. So, I would say you can make an argument for both. But I'm definitely interested whether it's on free TV or not free TV, whenever he eventually turns on him, seeing that match and seeing Otis as a red-hot babyface. I think he's going to get there. I think that's what's going to happen. Like I said before, like right before the pandemic, I think he can get back to that level with the help of this storyline and with the help of Sami Zayn along the way, trying to tell him to listen to the fans. And I think Maxine has done a very, very good job in all this as well. And I think she can stay right on Otis's arm whenever he turns into a babyface. Now, what do you do with Tozawa? I don't know, probably not much at first until, maybe they find something later on down the line for him, or maybe he stays on Gable's side. That's a possibility as well. This was my pick for match of the night. I'm not going to officially go with it though, but it was a very, very good match, and I'm going to give it a B+. And that leaves us with just 2 matches left, and it will be my biggest disappointment of the night. Match I liked the least, but I didn't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. That was for the Women's World Championship. Bayley retaining over Piper Niven. Again, I was a big fan of the way they booked this thing. I loved how Chelsea Green got kicked out of ringside and that she comes back in a mask, but the exact same clothes. It was just, I liked it. I don't know, it started off a little bit slow. They got it going, and both women did a pretty solid job, but it wasn't really anything super duper fantastic, but it wasn't horrible by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm going to keep us out of the C range here because I didn't really hate any matches, and really, if giving something a C is not really necessarily hating it either. It's just kind of saying, well, really didn't really hate it, didn't really love it. It's kind of in the middle, but I liked it. I liked this match. It was fine. We give it a B- as well. That every match on the pay-per-view was pretty darn solid. I don't think there was any spots at all where I was just kind of like, okay, this sucks. So click, 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 get me out of here. Yeah, because I've watched it on DVR, but there was none of those matches where I was just like, no spots really where I was just like not interested at all and wanting to move on to something else. They held my attention pretty doggone good throughout this whole thing. I do think that helps only having 5 matches on a card. Just interesting. WWE doesn't usually have a lot unless it's one of their SummerSlam or WrestleMania, something like that. Usually they're keeping it to 5, 6 matches at most. AEW likes to have 9 or 10. I think 6. 6 is my magic number. If I had my own company, I think I would do 6 on a pay-per-view. That seems like a pretty good middle ground between the two companies. And then we had the main event, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think everybody and their damn brother knew that CM Punk was going to interfere, but did you see it coming the way that it happened? I did not. And we're going to get to that here in just a second, but my goodness, I do want to talk about Damian Priest. And first of all, Roddy Piper's theme being used, the bagpipes and everything with Drew McIntyre, that was great. That was fantastic. Loved it. And Damian Priest, man, getting his foot hung up on the rope. I mean, if his foot doesn't get hung up on the rope, does he land on his head on the apron or on the floor? Like that was a scary moment, man. And this is one of those deals. And I was at an event where something similar happened down in Clarksville, NXT Battleground, where Braun Breaker was running the ropes and he gets a little too low and he kind of snapped his neck a little bit on the rope. And in that moment, you're like, holy cow. Like, man, we're like, how close do we come from watching somebody get seriously injured, if not worse, in the ring? He was okay. Thank God he was okay. And thank God Damian Priest was okay here. But it's just one of those times, man, we take it for granted. As smooth and as good as these athletes, wrestlers, performers, sports entertainers are, anything can happen at any point in time. Things do go wrong, and thank God that Damian Priest's foot got caught up and then he didn't seriously injure himself. And whenever I see things like happen like that, it does make me appreciate even more what I'm watching, and just how amazing these guys are and gals are with what they do. It's incredible, and I'm glad that Damian Priest was okay there. It was just crazy. Like after his foot got stuck, like Drew had to come into the ring and flip him back around to get his foot unstuck. Like it, you see people tie their arms up in the rope. It's like, oh, come on, they would easily get out of that in 2 seconds. Like, stop. But I was like, well, I don't know. It looked like he was really caught up there. And Drew had to flip him back around to get him out of there. Maybe that was the way that they wanted to do it, to make sure I would assume he could have got his hands out and everything. If he would have shook himself loose, he would have maybe been all right. But boy, the way they pivoted and Drew starts hitting him and everything, and then comes and flips him, and then they go right back into the match. They didn't miss a beat, man. They didn't miss a beat. And, and they turned it around really quickly and had some "this is awesome" chants and everything after that. And then we see the ref bump. We see the fake ref bump to set up the ref bump. I don't know, the ref to me, like, dove out of the ring really, really quickly. It looked really good, and then again at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if you're that good of an athlete, getting out of the way that quickly, how come he didn't get out of the way, whenever they hit you a second? But I really shouldn't complain at all. I thought it was set up brilliantly. Faking it out, it's like, oh crap, okay, maybe we're not going to get a ref bump here. Maybe we're not going to see CM Punk. Nope, 2 seconds later, there's your ref bump, and man, that ref went so far, slammed in the barricade. It looked really, really great. And then you get the wide shot of a referee coming to the ring, and then you hear the announcer saying, oh, here comes another referee. And yeah, it's way too far, way too zoomed out for me to tell that it was CM Punk at that time. So I see another ref coming to the ring. I'm like, wow, are we not going to actually get CM Punk here? Or like, whoa, we're going to get another ref coming in, and then there's going to be a kick out, and then what are we going to do? Another ref bump? How are we going to get to CM Punk here? So there was doubt. They created doubt, something so clear as day. Everybody waiting on CM Punk. They created doubt, at least in my mind, whenever I see that ref coming to the ring. But as soon as he slides in, though, and I see the red sneakers, I'm like, oh, that's CM Punk. Like, that was the only thing, I'm nitpicking here, but little thing there, should have been in ref shoes. Should have been in plain ref shoes, so that if you don't know it's him immediately from the back, by the time they get around to that front switch to him, and he's holding up the 2 because he stopped the count, then you're like, holy cow, it's CM Punk. But the shoes to me gave it away. Maybe or maybe not. I probably would have realized it was him anyways by the time he actually starts counting, but I knew immediately when he slid into the ring that it was him because of the shoes, is all I'm saying. But it was still so good. It was still so brilliant. The way they booked it, very, very creative and unique, and a great way to book around something so obvious and that everybody saw coming. Like I said, the only qualms about it was the shoes. And then also, I guess CM Punk could have been back there, and the ref gets hurt, and, he goes and steals a shirt off another ref, like, to make, whatever, however you got to make it believable in your mind, is like, he's like, oh, he's just hanging out back there in ref gear, I guess, so you got to suspend your belief just a little bit on these things to make them make logical sense, and I can overlook that, and that's fine, because I thought it was brilliant the way it was, and then it's him with that wry, evil, snarky little smile on his face, holding up the 2 fingers. Oh, so good, and that'll obviously set up for Drew and CM Punk at SummerSlam. Now we're going to get Damian Priest and Gunther after CM Punk kicks Drew in the nuts, leading to the finish, and Damian Priest gets the 1, 2, 3. Heel babyface though, like, yeah, again, like, obviously Drew's going to be getting cheered in his home country. Like, scratching my head, like, he is the heel and all this, right? So, like, is that why CM Punk found some fans with CM Punk shirts, and he's like in the crowd, like, getting hugged and getting patted on and everything? Like, that was logically, like I said, I know back in the States that works because CM Punk is the baby face, right? Kind of like we're kind of in AEW territory. It seems like AEW here. I don't know who the baby face and heel is. Like, we're mixing up here. I like it. I'm old school. I like it clear as day. Heel, baby face, heel, baby face. So a little bit confusing there, and especially with them being in Scotland. Like I said, if this is back home and he's in the crowd and he's getting patted on and everything, that makes sense. But that was a little bit of a disconnect for me with being in Scotland, and most of the crowd's booing, or just really kind of silent. It's kind of like, oh, great, man. Like, we knew this was probably coming, but we were hoping it wouldn't. Now that it did, we're just like, well, shoot. But there were some boos, but then you see the close-up of CM Punk, and then you hear the few fans at ringside that were patting on him, and he's smiling with the fans and everything. Like, I guess it's going to make sense when you tell the story later on, if you're going to present Drew as the heel, but CM Punk did the heel-like thing by coming in as a fake ref in the ruse on Drew McIntyre. So that does all kind of get discombobulated and a little bit confusing, like I said, especially where they were. But at the same time, it's been a very, very, very good storyline. So I can forgive. I can forgive all, most, if not all of that. And you can call me nitpicking and too old school if you want. And that's fine. And that's fine. But I loved it. I loved it. I loved the setup. I really thought everything was booked pretty darn brilliantly tonight in the way all these matches, pretty much all these matches went down, man. I loved it. I loved it. I'm going to give Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre an A-. It is my match of the night from Clash at the Castle. And overall, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those situations where I was coming in, I wasn't expecting a whole heck of a lot out of this pay-per-view. So maybe a little bit undersold in my mind, but over-delivered. So, you know, whenever that happens, I usually give it a pretty decent grade just because I was expecting maybe a C+ show, and I think we got probably a B+ show. I'm going to give this show a solid B. I'll give it a B+. I liked it. I'm going to give it a B+. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and please try to grow on this channel. A lot of time and effort into these things. So if you liked what you see, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up and give me a sub, give me a follow, and we will see you next time. It's been the Clash at the Castle review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, God bless.